Hello, and welcome to my channel, where I mostly share my love of fragrance and enjoying my collection. In this video, I'll be reviewing the new Zara Chapter 5 and 6 perfume collections. Thank you so much for stopping by, and let's get started. Zara recently released a couple of new perfume collections. There's a fruit-themed collection called Chapter 6 and a floral collection called Chapter 5, both with 4 scents each. The perfumes only come in 1-ounce bottles, and they retail for $15.90 US. While I like that I can try new scents in these smaller bottles if I'm unsure about them, this isn't as good of a deal as their larger bottles usually are. They already raised the prices on the full-size bottles as well, so the prices at Zara are really creeping up more than I'd like. I hope they'll still offer future new fragrances in the larger 3.4-ounce bottles. Zara doesn't always list all of their fragrance notes, and when I purchased my items, there was only a brief description, but they've since added the main notes for each scent, as well as the description on the boxes, both of which I'll share as I go over each fragrance. Starting with Chapter 6, which is the fruit-themed collection, I picked up 3 out of the 4 scents, but I already have the last scent, so I'll go over that one as well. I do like the ombre bottles with the bright colors. I think it's really pretty and eye-catching. And first up is Sultry Pear, and I believe that this is a new scent, and this comes in a blue and green ombre bottle. And Sultry Pear has notes of vanilla, pear, jasmine petals, and almonds, and is described as jasmine petals tinted with pear accents melts into the warm addiction of praline and vanilla. And upon first spray, I instantly get a lot of sweet vanilla and almond, and there's also just a touch of a powdery quality. That's followed by a soft jasmine. And at first, I don't get much pear, which I don't really mind because I'm not a huge fan of pear. But as the scent dries, more of the pear starts to come out, but it's still pretty soft, as well as a bit fresh and slightly sharp. What I'm really getting, though, is a sweet mix of praline and creamy vanilla that has a gourmand feel without being heavy. To me, this is a sweet vanilla floral with hints of pear, and when it's dried down, the praline is especially delicious. I do like this scent, but I'm not sure why it's called Sultry Pear, when the pear isn't really the star here. I will say that when I sprayed this on paper, the pear was more noticeable than on my skin. And for comparison, I have La Belle from Jean-Paul Gaultier, and this also has pear and vanilla, as well as bergamot, floral notes, leather, vetiver, amber, and musk. And this is a sweet mix of a syrupy pear and vanilla, but it has more warmth and depth than Sultry Pear. They both have a gourmand quality and a similar warm vanilla, but La Belle has more pear and a bit of a boozy quality, and is overall much stronger than Sultry Pear. I also get a touch of powderiness in both scents, but more so in La Belle. I do like both of these, and I find the dry downs to be very similar. Next I have Peach Glow, and I believe this is also a new scent, and this comes in a yellow and pink ombre bottle. And Peach Glow has notes of musk, peach, and jasmine, and is described as an elegant floral signature with a fruity background of peach and grapefruit, reinforcing the sensuality of praline and enveloping the magnetic character of amber. And upon first spray, I get juicy peach and a sharp grapefruit. The peach is strong and has some sweetness to it, and the sharpness of the grapefruit softens as it dries. As the jasmine comes in, the scent turns more floral, but still retains the fruitiness. The dry down does feel musky and warm, and while I don't get the praline specifically, there is an additional sweetness. I wouldn't say that this is really a sweet scent though, and it retains a bit of the sharpness from the citrus even once dried. I wish the peach had more of a candied feeling because it's not quite as sweet as I would have liked, and I also wish they would have left out the grapefruit. Overall, this is a warm, musky, fruity floral with a soft peach and citrus, and I think that it's okay, but just not anything really special. I have a couple of comparisons, and first up is I Want Choo from Jimmy Choo. And this also has peach and jasmine, in addition to mandarin orange, red lily, and vanilla. And this is a really sweet, peachy vanilla scent. The floral notes are not overwhelming, and the scent becomes creamier and a bit powdery as it dries. I Want Choo feels bright and sweet, kind of like peaches and cream, while Peach Glow is more of a fresh, peachy floral with citrus and a subtle, warm sweetness. And then I have Bitter Peach from Tom Ford, and this also has peach and jasmine, as well as a lot of other notes, including blood orange, heliotrope, rum, cognac, vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, and patchouli. And I don't think that these are that similar, but I thought people might be wondering how they compare, so I wanted to include it. Bitter peach is a really strong, boozy peach scent. The peach isn't as sweet or juicy, it's more syrupy and mixed with heavy booze, vanilla, and tonka bean. There's also some woodiness, patchouli, and an overall noticeable spiciness, so this is very different from Peach Glow's sweet, musky, peachy floral. And then I have Cherry Smoothie, and this is a re-promoted scent, and it has sort of a sunset bottle with a purple, orange, and yellow ombre. And Cherry Smoothie has notes of heliotrope, cherry, hawthorn flower, almond, and plum, and is described as the lively fruit of cherry and plum are accentuated by the tart freshness of almond in a sensual world of black vanilla and tonka beans. And I already have Cherry Smoothie from the original release, but I wanted to pick this up to use as a travel spray. And this opens with a strong, sweet, syrupy cherry that's not really sour, and I do get a hint of the dark plum as well. There's also a lot of sweet almond that feels a bit gourmand, sort of like marzipan, and the scent also has some powderiness as well as a subtle floral. The dry down has additional sweetness from the vanilla and tonka bean, and overall, this is just a really delicious, sweet, syrupy cherry almond scent. I would put Cherry Smoothie in my top 5 cherry scents because the cherry is so strong and it combines really nicely with the almond and heliotrope. I wanted to quickly compare the new version with the original Cherry Smoothie, and here is what the new 1-ounce bottle looks like compared to the old 3.4-ounce bottle. I haven't seen this larger size available, and it was on sale several months back, so I thought that it was being discontinued. The original shares the same notes, but also had Peru balsam listed, while the new version doesn't mention that note. When I spray both of these, the new one has a very alcoholic and almost medicinal quality, but that does dissipate pretty quickly. The old one does not have that quality. Otherwise, the two versions are very similar. If anything, I feel like the new one has stronger almond that is a bit sweeter. It reminds me a bit of that drink, Di Serono Amaretto, which I've always thought smelled delicious. These aren't boozy, but they have that signature cherry almond scent similar to the drink. I feel like the newer version smells more like amaretto, and the old version smells more like marzipan. It's not a huge difference though, and I love both of them. It could also be the difference in age of the bottles, and maybe the newer one will soften somewhat. I have a full review of the original Cherry Smoothie on my channel, including a comparison with Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, and I'll link that in the description box if you want more detail. But I will do a couple of other comparisons in this video with the new Cherry Smoothie. And first up is Not Another Cherry from Finery, which is sold at Target. And this also has wild cherry and almond notes, in addition to almond amaretto and Turkish rose. And this feels like a syrupy, slightly sour cherry that's been soaked in amaretto. It has a very soft rose and a beautiful powdery sweetness. The cherry almond amaretto is similar to that in Cherry Smoothie, but with more almond and a little less sweetness overall. Not Another Cherry has a delicious boozy quality, and while it is similar, it leans more towards Tom Ford's Lost Cherry than Cherry Smoothie. And then I have Lovefest Burning Cherry from Kayali. And this also has cherry, though here it's burning cherry, as well as heliotrope and tonka bean, in addition to other key notes of raspberry, praline, palo santo, gaiac wood, and patchouli. And this has a mix of cherry and raspberry with a powdery almondy feeling. It also has a smoky wood and a soft floral, as well as a nice creamy sweetness. Unfortunately, the strong cherry and almondy quality doesn't last in Lovefest Burning Cherry, as it turns into more of a sweet, woody scent, so I find it to be different than Cherry Smoothie. And the last scent in the collection is Marshmallow Addiction, which is a re-promoted scent, and it looks like it comes in a dark reddish-purple ombre bottle. And Marshmallow Addiction has notes of sunflower, vanilla, and musk, and is described as colorful and bright wilderness with a blend of flowers of the sun and delicious fruits, drawn in by the irresistible gourmand vanilla and the marvelous comfort of musk. I didn't repurchase this one because I didn't really love it the first time around. And here you can see what the new 1-ounce bottle looks like compared to my old 3.4-ounce bottle. And as far as the original version, despite the name, this is actually a fruity scent, not a marshmallow one. It smells like a bowl of tropical fruit salad that has a bit of a candied feel, and I think I originally compared it to gummy bears. It feels bright and does have a musky feel. I don't really get the sunflower or vanilla specifically, but there is a generic sort of creamy sweetness. So to me, this is just a creamy, very fruity scent with the barest hint of a floral note. And I don't think that it's bad, I just don't think it's anything special, and I think that the name is really misleading. I wanted a sweet, fluffy marshmallow scent, and that's not what this is. Overall, I like the Chapter 6 collection, and I'm especially glad they brought back Cherry Smoothie, as I think that's the standout here, and a beautiful cherry almond scent. I also really like the sweet vanilla floral of Sultry Pear, but since I already have Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle, I'm fine with just having this small bottle. Peach Glow is a decent fruity floral, but I wish that it was sweeter and didn't have the grapefruit. And assuming the new version is the same, Marshmallow Addiction is my least favorite, as it doesn't live up to its name and is just a generic fruity scent. Moving on to the Chapter 5 collection, which seems to be floral themed, I only picked up one of the 4 scents. The notes for the other scents didn't really appeal to me, so I decided to pass on them. These also come in 1-ounce bottles, but they're less colorful than the ones in Chapter 6 and just have a subtle gradient at the bottom. The scents that I didn't pick up are Royal Fressia, which has notes of jasmine sandback, orchid, orris, pink pepper, and cedarwood, and is described as sublime elegance in the shape of blooming freesia and a spicy woody trail. Noble Wisteria, with notes of clover, muguet, or lily of the valley, and rose, which is described as blissfulness in the form of a tender noble wisteria and a delightful clover work of art. And Majestic Lilas, which has lilac flower and sandal notes, and is described as blossoms appear everywhere and nature is calling us, the purity and elegance of a lilac flower that blooms the concrete and infuses the air with its magic. Okay, Zara, I'm not sure what that last one is supposed to smell like, but those are very flowery descriptions. And the scent that I did pick up is Queen Plumrose, and I believe this is a new scent, and it comes in a mostly clear bottle with a pink gradient. And Queen Plumrose has notes of warm sand, rose, and wood, and is described as magic awakens as a floral encounter of plumeria and rose with a mouth-watering edible touch. And I'll start by saying I don't understand the notes for this one because I don't get the sand note at all. When I first spray this, all I get is a lot of rose, and it smells very fresh and a little green. I'm not really getting much of the plumeria they mentioned either. It doesn't smell tropical to me, but I do get something else that's more spicy, like geranium. I used to have a plumeria tree, and this doesn't smell like any plumeria that I'm familiar with. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be plum in here, and I maybe get a touch of fruitiness, but it's very nondescript, and the scent is mostly floral. As it dries, I do pick up on the gourmand note, and it's sweet and powdery, kind of like a cross between praline and Turkish delight. It's not overly sweet, and the scent overall isn't gourmand. It just adds some sweetness to the floral notes. There's also some woodiness in the base, but the rose really dominates everything. And I think that the dry down is really nice. When the greenness in the rose has softened, I'm left with pretty rose petals and a nice sweetness. I have a few comparisons, and first up is Donna from Valentino. And this has Bulgarian rose, in addition to bergamot, grapefruit, iris, praline, vanilla, leather, and patchouli. And note, I have the older formulation, and this is a very rose-heavy fragrance with a sweet praline, powdery iris, and a touch of citrus and leather. These have a similar rose, mixed with a sweet, powdery gourmand note, but Donna has a bit of spiciness and feels darker, while Queen Plumrose feels more fresh. Next I have Rose Blush from Jo Malone, and this has pink rose, in addition to basil, lychee, and white musk. And this is also a fresh rose scent with lychee and some greenness. It feels bright, and it has a nice sweetness in the dry down, as well as some muskiness. These are both fresh rose scents with some sweetness, but Rose Blush has more of a soft fruitiness and sweet rose petals, while Queen Plumrose has the powdery sweetness from the gourmand note. And then I also have Rosewater and Vanilla from Jo Malone, and this has rosewater and Turkish rose, in addition to neroli, petitgrain, lucum, which is Turkish delight, cacao pod, and vanilla. And these aren't that similar, but I wanted to include it because I feel like there are touches of the Turkish delight note in this fragrance in Queen Plumrose. The gourmand note in that scent feels like it has an element of powdery candy, similar to the Turkish delight note in Rosewater and Vanilla. I actually think adding this to Queen Plumrose would amp up their gourmand note and add a nice additional sweetness. And lastly, I have Preziosa from Furla. And this has rose in addition to saffron, pink pepper, bergamot, geranium, freesia, vanilla, amber rome, and suede. And this scent is a nice combination of saffron, rose, and geranium. It's spicy and yet has a nice sweetness from the vanilla. I wanted to compare these because the hint of spiciness that I get in Queen Plumrose feels kind of like the geranium in Preziosa. They have touches of similar qualities, but Preziosa is overall more spicy and heavy, while Queen Plumrose is more fresh and light. So that's it for my review of the Zara Chapter 5 and 6 collections. There are definitely some scents in here that I really enjoy, with Cherry Smoothie coming out on top, followed by Sultry Pear and Queen Plumrose. Let me know what you think of these fragrances and if you're going to give any of them a try. Thank you for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.